Then the last impact of increased greenhouse gases in our atmosphere that we're seeing today are different organisms around the world are already being affected and are serving as alarm bells for humans. So one example that is really not good for humans is insects. Insects thrive on warm weather. There's a reason you don't see them in the wintertime. Most insects will lay their eggs. Their eggs are somewhere in the environment. Their eggs can survive the cold, but the adults can't. When it starts getting warm, those eggs hatch and you've got your adult insects. Well, now that it's warmer, those insects are emerging earlier. Those insects are completing maybe one additional life cycle. Maybe mosquitoes, I'm making this number up, but maybe mosquitoes reproduce 3 times during the summer. But now summer and warmth is a little bit longer. Now it's 4 times. If you think about human disease, this is spreading malaria. This is spreading West Nile virus. This is spreading Zika virus. So we're giving them more opportunities to do damage to human health and to animal health and plant health. Think about agriculture. You're like, oh, well, now we can grow more in agriculture. Yeah, well, the insect problem is only going to get worse because there's going to be more of them and they're going to be around longer. Related to this, how it's infected a species that we see already. So this is a moose found up in Canada and whatnot. Moose don't really have to deal with that many parasites just because they are found in colder places. Again, insects can't really handle those cold temperatures. But moose are being found now, dead carcasses with thousands of ticks on them. Thousands of ticks. Ticks that you wouldn't even see in this area. Moose don't really have good defense systems against it, against all these ticks. They're not used to being impacted by all of these ticks. We as humans get impacted by ticks. Your pets get impacted by ticks. But we're already seeing it with the moose population having a huge decline in the past few years due to tick infestations. Other organisms, unrelated to insects, are being pushed out of their habitats. For some organisms, that's fine. They can just move somewhere else, but it's not a big deal. But for some that are small, that don't migrate, that don't move a lot, it's making a big issue. So the picture that just popped up, this is the American pika, P-I-K-A. This is actually where the name Pikachu comes from. Fun fact. This is a rodent. It's a small species. And the picture, you can see it eating some leaves, so you can get an idea of how small it is. These guys are only found on mountaintops, and they're only found on a few mountaintops here in the United States, out in the Rockies. The problem is that it's getting warmer out there. And so if you take a look at their mountaintop, the amount that they live in is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And while they're still here, they're actually currently waiting to be put on the endangered species list because their numbers are dwindling, because they're losing space to live in. And they're a small organism. You can't just be like, it should just run to another mountaintop. One, that's not going to happen. Like, they physically cannot run down one mountain and up another one. But 2, let's say they could. It's not like that mountain right next to them is any better than the one they just came from. They would have to go much further up north in order to find mountains that have a large enough habitat. What's happening on their mountains is going to be the same one that's happening right next to them. And so a lot of species that have these really small zones where they live are getting pushed out of those zones. They've got nowhere to go. So again, these 3 examples are things we're seeing today. It's not, oh, this might happen. These are happening right now. And we need to be aware of it, and we need to plan for it, especially when it comes to insects, because insects have some really large negative consequences to the human population. So those were 5 different things that we're seeing right here, right now. What the major point of contention is in the world isn't, is it happening? At least I should say in the scientific world. Sure, there's totally people who are like, oh, it's not happening. Scientists are not arguing that. What scientists are arguing right now, or what they're trying to figure out, is what is in store for us for the future. Is it going to get worse? How much worse? What's it going to look like? Is it going to get better? What do we have to do to make it better? Tons of questions that scientists are asking. And so scientists have come together to create this IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And it's not just a couple scientists, it's over 2,000 scientists from 154 different countries. Nearly every country, there's like maybe 20 that aren't represented, but nearly every country is representing or being represented by scientists. And what these scientists do, what this group of 2,000 scientists do, is that they get together every 6 years. And what they do is they review all of the science that has been released and published about climate change. So there's scientists over here that are looking at sea level rise, scientists over here looking at ticks, over here looking at the El Nino effect. They look at all of this science, all of these published articles. And what they do is they compile it all. They say, hey, there were 100 studies about the impact of climate change on the insect population. Let's take all of that information and group it together to create one succinct report. Some of these scientists are doing their own research as well related to climate change. Some of these scientists are those who work at universities. These are some that work in the most prestigious labs in the world. But their whole goal is just, hey, let's look over all the literature over the past 6 years, and let's come up with a summary of what's happening. So the next one to be published is, well, we're like halfway through it right now, would be in 2022. Now, the other thing they do in their review is they come up what's referred to as the climate change scenarios. So they come up with these hypotheses. These are guesses when we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But they come up with these hypotheses based on, what if we made changes? What if we didn't make changes? What about the 50 other things that could happen? And so they come out with a bunch of scenarios. This graph is showing 2 scenarios. So the first scenario is this blue one. We are over here. This is how much warming we've seen, or actually we're like right here. So this is how much warming we've seen, just over just under 1 degree Celsius. Blue represents best case scenario. All the countries around the world, we're making changes. We want to stop climate change. We're vastly reducing our greenhouse gases, and scientists are like, all right, yeah, we'll probably even out then. Where we are now, probably where we'll be in the next 100 years. In this picture, red is worst case scenario. It's not even worst case scenario. This is, let's keep doing what we're currently doing. Let's not make any changes. So this isn't even saying we get worse. This is us staying the same. And so if we look at the same time interval to 2100, looking at 4 degrees Celsius and warming. Remember, in Ice Age, the average was, say, negative 4 degrees Celsius. So these are huge weather impacts. There's other scenarios, and that's what's being shown here on the right-hand side. This is showing some in-between scenarios and kind of where they end up. But still, it's just, it's not... It is a science, but we don't know for sure. And that's why I personally just don't talk much about what's going to happen in the future. I mean, yeah, I'm totally worried about it, but I think there's so much evidence about what's happening right now, and we're already seeing how bad it is right now. Like, I don't care if it's going to get worse. Like, it needs to get better. Like, we already know the bad things that are going to happen. Let's fix it now. Instead of being like, well, how much worse will it get? Doesn't matter. Already bad right now. We should take care of it right now. But that's where we're going to go into our next section, is talking about what can we actually do about this. Now, one last thing to leave you with is a video. This video is created by NASA, and it's looking at these 2 climate change scenarios. It's looking at best case scenario, and it's looking at what happens if we stay the same. And it's showing you the Earth in 100 years. It's showing you a heat map of the warmest places and the coldest places, and looking at what's happening over the next 100 years under best case scenario, and what's happening in the next 100 years in the worst case scenario. Now, it's focused on North America, so pay special attention to Maryland or wherever else you're interested in to see how are we being impacted. What changes might we see when it comes to these future outcomes? So with that, there's a lot of things happening on climate change today. We are seeing the temperatures skyrocket. We're seeing these extremes the extreme heat and the extreme cold around the world. We're seeing changes in our weather patterns because of this temperature change. We're experiencing the worst hurricanes we've ever seen, and not just ever seen, but they keep coming. They keep happening. It's not we get a break. It's, oh, well, what's the big megastorm this year? We're seeing the Arctic drastically melt. We're seeing glaciers go away. If you want to go to Glacier National Park and see a glacier, go in the next 10 years. It even says it on the National Park website. It's trying to urge people to go now because they're losing so much of the glaciers that they're just going to have to call it like National Park. I don't even know what they call it. Just Ponds National Park because they're losing their glaciers. We're seeing this now. And we need to take change now. It doesn't matter what the IPCC says is going to happen in the next 100 years. It matters, but we're already seeing the negative consequences now.